What is up, everybody? This is your host, SuperSight, and welcome back to one of my hopefully best videos that you've ever seen, with some of the most valuable information that you will ever receive about making coins in Heyday. Now, this video is the machines that can make you over 275,000 coins a day. Now, this is not a joke. This is not clickbait. This is not a joke. I am completely serious, and I will be showing you this. Now, you might have been wondering, why didn't you show us this earlier? Well, I hadn't planned the video properly. I hadn't even calculated it, but now I have calculated it. I've got all the facts and figures here. I've got a whole scripted thing that I'm going to be talking about, and also, by the way, I've actually got Rose. So for 3 days, awesome. We'll just do her there. But oh, are you serious, the ad? Anyway, so in this video, I'm going to be introducing you to some of the best advice about making coins, and you'll see why. You'll see why in the video. By the end of it, I can almost guarantee this will totally change your perspective of Heyday and making coins, and in regards to how to make them. Right, so, and this is a new concept for you. Right, okay, so what we'll do is I'm just going to harvest one of these, and that one right there. Okay, so, and then we're just going to isolate it. I'm going to move it over here. Right, wait, okay, we'll move this one here. Alright, so moving it here. There we go, where we can see it. Right there. Perfect. Okay, now this here. Think of this field as a machine. Now, most of you will never have thought of this in this way, like as a machine. Neither did I until very recently. Like, I hadn't thought of it as a machine. But just think, this field is the machine, right? This is the field, and all these different crops right here, they are the products, right? So you've got all these different products you can make. Same with a regular machine, and so, for example, in order to make wheat, you have the ingredients wheat. Now, it's kind of a weird type of machine, but it is nevertheless a machine. And so that's how I advise that you think of this machine. Right, okay, so so collectively, all of these machines, all of these fields over here that we have, they can make over 275,000 coins a day. This is based on a level 50 farmer, by the way. Now, excluding the products that are made exclusively of wheat, such as bread and, the wheat bundle, making wheat, right? So producing wheat, planting this wheat, making wheat like so, I'm going to call it making wheat, although it's, technically planting it, it is the most profitable product that you can ever make in Heyday. That's right, it's like, you don't normally think of it this way, but actually producing wheat, the act of wheating, planting that right there, doing that is more profitable than every single product in all of Heyday. Making brown sugar, making white sugar, making cream, making cheese, just planting that wheat right there. That's how profitable it is. And by the way, this is based on you selling it for 1 coin per week. This is not the 3.6 coins that was never going to sell. This is based on 1 coin per week, which is completely reasonable, and we all know that selling it at that price, it will absolutely sell. So there is just one thing I wanted to make clear. Okay, so, and of course that is excluding that entirely wheat products, because, such as bread and the wheat bundle, because they are dependent on the price of wheat, right? So that affects them. Now, on top of that, the machines that can produce you the most profitable product in all of Heyday, wheat, are also the machines that are most abundant. Look at all these machines. Look at all these machines here. We come here, 86 of those machines right there, which is crazy, because, that's a lot of machines compared to all these other tiny machines, these singular machines. Like, we don't have 76 of them, but we do have, 86 fields as of the level I'm at, but they're the most abundant. Now, it's interesting that, and so, the majority of the machines are also the most profitable machines. They're the fields. So then, it would make sense to focus the most, the most profitable, focus on making keeping these machines going. But it's ironic, because even though they are the easiest machines to keep going, because all you have to do is just plant something like that. That's all you have to do. That's the only ingredient is wheat. With other machines, you've got all this other, don't tap on her, right there. See, with all these things, you have to have 2 things. With some of them, they get really complicated, and you have to have, 3 products. I'm not sure, 3 different things. And so, at it's sometimes really hard to find all of those ingredients. But actually, with this, all you have to do is just the one thing you plant it. It's the easiest to keep going, because it only requires one product, yet we are so focused on keeping the rest of the machines going that we forget that we neglect the main ones, you know, the most profitable ones. And just having crops growing in your field means that over half your machine is in action. Now, again, these are new. This is all new developments, new concepts. You haven't heard me say this before. Well, yeah, like I've used like rhetoric around that, you know, about how the profitability of the fields and how they're always really good to keep going. But I haven't actually specifically said these facts. Like when I'm saying let's get everything back in action, I'm generally referring to the machines and the animals, because we've always taken for granted that keeping the fields, keeping the machines going is so simple that we don't need it, you know, that's just a tiny little task. We just, you know, plant them and then it's all good. Let's move on. But actually, just the act of doing that is accounting for over half our machines. And that is why, when I don't have time to play Hay Day, like sometimes I don't have much time, I'll simply make sure that the crops are going if that's the only thing I do. So if I'm in a rush, you know, to go somewhere, and what I'll do, I'll often do this. I'll load Hay Day, I'll harvest my previous crops, like so, you know, the strawberries and that. So I'll harvest them, assuming that the silo had room, and then I'll just sell a bit of them. I'll plant the new ones, and then just exit Hay Day. That's all I do. I just plant my fields, you know, I'll plant my crops up, like so, and I'll just get the fields going, you know, not with wheat, but with something that's gonna, like, if I'm away for 2 hours, I'll put on a crop that's gonna last me 2 hours. So they're constantly producing. That is the key when planting crops. You want it to be constantly growing, you know, you don't want them to be idle, like, to be ready to be harvested. So there we go. If we plant the wheat in there like so, that's how simple, because it is. I sort of semi-realized this, but I didn't realize it as how much a percentage of the income they make up for your farm until I actually did the calculations. Okay, and so the simple act of growing it makes it the majority of your coin making machines are in action. So if you just plant this out, for example, if you're going out for 2.5 hours and you plant cotton in them and don't get any of the other machines going, all of those machines still out of action, actually you've got over 50% of your machines that make coins, like that make the profit, you know, in action, because these are all machines and they are all making you more profit. Every single one. That is the equivalent. That makes you more profit than like that machine right there. That single field can make you more profit than any other machine in the entirety of Hay Day. All these machines are not as profitable as a single field. So then, imagine how much powerful a whole ton of fields, how much 86 fields, you know, with some players where they have over 100 fields or even over 200 fields. You know, imagine how much, like, fields, you know, how much, like, if that is more profitable than any other machine and produces you the most profitable product in all of Hay Day, imagine how much all the other ones are doing. So, you're just planting, you're making it sure that at least half of what you are capable of making in the hours that you can't actively play Hay Day, like, for example, buying and reselling in the daily dirt or doing active wheating, just planting like that, like, just that, yeah. That is more profitable, and that means over half your machines are going. So knowing this information leads me to conclude that this, my friends, is what we should focus on the most. As since it accounts for over half the coins we make, then shouldn't it get at least half of our attention? Like, I would say that it is one of the, like, it is seriously, if we're serious about making coins, then keeping crops always going, always growing and like, just continually harvesting them, or just, even when we go away, just making sure crops are growing while we're away, should be our main goal. Fields are the majority of our machine income, not the minority. That, my friends, is the power of fields. Now, let me give you some stats for a level 50 like farm, and at which you get 78 fields. So I've got a few more fields, but I'm just going to talk about a level 50 farm. So because it does base it on the rates at which, you know, you get a reward. Like so if you harvest, like it occasionally gives you a special item, right? And so like might give you, like, I don't know what, like axe or a lem or a bem or different things like that. And so it's assuming that because it's based on this rate. So as of a level 50, and by the way, also two assumptions. First of all, I'm assuming that the average thing that you'll get, the average profitable thing you'll get, is worth approximately 270 coins. So the average, like, item that you'll get. Like, because for example, if you sell off like a piece of tape, that's worth 270. So I'm assuming that the average price of the item that it gives you from doing the activities of wheating or harvesting or whatnot, it is worth 270. I'm also not accounting for, how there's a little, like, there's a tiny bit of a gap in which from when you, right, that's why I won't be receiving the item, because I'm full. I'll just do that and then put that there. There we go. Now we'll get an item on this one. Oh, are you serious? There we go, we'll plant that, and then I'll harvest this one, boom, and then we'll get something, boom, right there. See, as you can see, that's worth 400 if I sell it, but I'm assuming the average is 200. I'm also not accounting for the time that it takes to replant, which can be like a couple of seconds, assuming that your silo's empty, and so you can do it quickly. So there we go, we'll plant them up. Okay, now, for a single field, so in a single day, one single field can make you 3,573 coins. That is a lot of coins. This is for a single one. And then on top of that, in a week, a single field, this is one field, one machine, just doing wheating. This can make you 24,762 coins for just one field. And in a year, a single field can make you 1,291,148 coins. So it's about 1.3 million coins per field. And so this is per field. And then collectively, you add up all 86 of my fields, but I'm doing about a level 50 farmer, so all 78 of their fields in a single day. From constant weeding for 24 hours. Now, I know this isn't, it's possible, most people wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying this is the capacity, this is the possibility. In one single day, just by weeding, not from anything else, not from keeping animals going, not from doing boats, not from keeping any other machines going other than the fields, you will make, and this is not by reselling it, from no other form of income other than just the fields going, you will make from all the fields, from all 78 fields, 275,000 coins, 917. So 275,917, which I'll just abbreviate as 276,000 coins. That, my friends, is a ton of coins. This is just fields, just weeding for a level 50 farmer, which is probably most of you. Even if you're a little bit lower, you can still get this many, just about as many coins. Like, it doesn't make a huge difference. But like the fact you can get, and so that's over 250,000 every day just from the fields. This is just the fields. This is nothing else. And so just in 4 days you can make over 1 million coins just by doing wheating in the fields. Now you're probably not going to spend 24 hours a day doing wheating. Some people probably have, but most people don't spend that long. But even if you spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, it doesn't matter. The point is, it is such a profitable activity. It makes you thousands and thousands and thousands of coins. Now also, as well as making you over, and hence this is, I told you it wasn't a joke, this is not a joke, this is statistics, this is fact. So 276,000 a day for 78 fields doing wheating non-stop. Now for a week, all those fields will make you, this is just in a week, if you were doing wheating non-stop for a week with 78 fields at level 50, that would make you 1,931,415. So 1.9 million a week from these fields, from just doing weeding. And in a year, you would make over 100 million coins in a year from wheating if you're weeding, 365 days a week, 24 hours, which isn't, you wouldn't do that. But the fact that you can make 100 million on wheating alone if you're a level 50. Now, by the way, that wouldn't be possible because you get so much XP that then you'd level up, and so you'd get more fields, so you'd make even more. But the fact is, you'd make 100,709,530 coins a year by just wheating with 78 fields. That is a hang of a lot of coins. That is just from weeding, just from fields. So I thought I would put that out there. Now, just another thing, which is like more relatable, because of course that's not something most of us do, but just wheating, by the way, with one wheating field is, guess how many times more profitable than producing chocolate. So we come over here and we can produce chocolate in, where is the chocolate machine? Where the hang did I move the flippin' chocolate machine? Right there. Okay, there we go, the candy machine. So this here, producing this, wheating. And this is unstarred, so assuming it wasn't max starred, but wheating is 20 for one field. One field doing this here is 29 times more profitable than producing this. 29 times more profitable, and that's for one field. So if you have all 78 fields going, the act of wheating is 2,281 times more profitable than doing that. So for every, 1 minute you, do wheating, you're getting 2,281 times more profit than if you were producing chocolate. That is two things. It shows how lame producing chocolate is, but also how epic wheating is. And so that there is just a couple of things. So every minute of wheating counts. So for every 1 minute of, doing wheating, for all the fields, you'd have to, spend 2,281 minutes doing this, which is insane. Of course, this here isn't much effort. You just plop it in and it's done. But still, and so, just a fact, by the way, so to pay off 1 day of wheating, right, so this is for a level 78 farm, a level 50 farmer with 78 fields, if they did 1 day of wheating, which made them their 275,000, coins in that day, which is definitely possible. Even you can do it, and so if you're higher level than level 50, you'd make more than 275,000 a day, and if you're lower level, of course, you'd make less, but not significantly less. You'll still make tens and tens and tens of thousands if you do it in, probably over 100,000 for most of you if you're doing it for a day. But I just thought it was fascinating because to pay off just 1 day of wheating, of doing wheating on your farm, at level 50 would take officially 2,281 days. Now, actually, if you're paying attention, it would actually make sense because, of course, it's to do wheating is 2,281 times more profitable. Therefore, 1 day of wheating, in order to make up the equivalent in profit by producing chocolate, you would have to do 2,281 days, which happens to be 6 years. That is insane. 1 day of wheating, one single day of wheating, the amount of profit you make would be more than you'd make from producing chocolate non-stop for 6 years. So literally, just I don't even know when the candy machine came out, but if it came out when Heyday first came out, you would still not have made up the amount you would make from 1 day of wheating if you had the chocolate bar going non-stop for 6 years. And yes, I know technically it would get mastered and get slightly more profitable, but assuming it was unmastered, it would take 6 years to pay off just 1 day of wheating. That is insane. And yes, by the way, I do, you can consider animals, they can be thought of as machines, as they do make you extra profit, so then why not keep them going? Hence, I try to keep them going if possible. But yes, I am just astounded, as probably you are after watching this video, about how much profitability, wheating is. It is ballistically insane. Makes up over 50% of your, it's just that one machine, that one field is so profitable. All of them combined is 2,281 times more profitable than making chocolate. That is just ridiculous. That is just unbelievable. But it is true, it is statistical, and so I thought I would just share that with you, to tell you that it is possible to make over 275,000 coins a day. The machines that can do it are the fields. That's just the fields. If you get everything going, plus you're buying and selling from Daily Dirt, your income would be literally insane. But yes, that, my friends, is the power of fields. That is the power of wheating. Most people, including me, never realize how actually profitable, how incredibly profitable wheating is. And so now I've actually done the math, I've worked it out. Even myself was shocked when I found out literally how many times. 2,281 times more profitable than chocolate. That is insane. Anyway, I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you learned something, and there's gotta be all of you. You've gotta learn something from this. Even I learned something from doing it. I had to write out the script, so sorry it wasn't as fluent as it could be, but please do leave a like, and please comment, what you learned, what you found interesting, what ideas you had. Has this actually changed your perspective of Heyday and the profitability of fields and how important fields are to keep fields going? I would love to know. Please subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your host, SuperSight, and remember to make coins faster than honeybees make honey.